Hello and welcome to Decision 1867 here in the Confederate States of America. This is the first election post the Civil War after the Confederates won their independence after the North called for a stalemate. They couldn't make any significant gains in the war, the Confederacy now has their own independence, and they've also gained quite a bit of territory from the United States as more Union slave states joined the Confederacy. It is now 7 p.m. and the following states have poll closings. Out of Georgia, we only have one candidate here tonight running for president, and that is General Robert E. Lee. Pretty much the only person who wanted to run. Nobody else could have beaten him, so he's the only one that's typically on the ballot. But Robert E. Lee is the projected winner in the state of Georgia. He will go on to win the state of Kentucky. He will go on to win the state of South Carolina as well as the state of Virginia, sweeping all four states. And here's the current electoral map so far. Robert E. Lee currently at 49 electoral votes. Now, out of Georgia's Senate race, Benjamin Hill, from the Moderate Party, will go on to win re-election to another term in Georgia, keeping the Senate seat in the Moderate Party's hands. Out of Kentucky Senate race, John Breckinridge will succeed the retiring senator, keeping the Senate seat in the Conservative Party. John Breckinridge was the Vice President of the United States of America, now going to join the Confederate Senate out of Kentucky. Out of South Carolina Senate race, currently too close to call. James Chestnut from the Conservative Party is currently leading at 42%. Moderate incumbent James Orr sitting at 32%. And liberal Frederick Sawyer is currently at 25%. And here is the current Senate composition thus far. Liberals being led by John Crittenden currently have 1 seat. The moderates have 8 seats, and the conservatives have 15 seats. You need 17 seats in order to gain a majority. And the conservatives are currently 2 seats away in the Senate from obtaining a majority. And out of Kentucky's governor race, John Stevenson will be elected to his first term as governor out of the state of Kentucky, keeping the seat in conservative hands. It is now 7:30 p.m. and we now have poll closings out of North Carolina. Out of North Carolina, no surprise here, Robert Lee will be the projected winner in the state of North Carolina. And here is the updated Electoral College map. Robert Lee now at 69 electoral votes. Out of North Carolina Senate race, William Dortch will be re-elected to another term in the Senate out of North Carolina. And we have a gain for the conservatives out of South Carolina. James Chestnut will defeat his incumbent moderate opponent as well as the liberal opponent by around 7 to 8 percentage points, flipping the seat from purple to blue. James Chestnut will be the projected winner out of South Carolina Senate race. And with that, we can now make a projection. The majority will stay with the Conservative Party. The Conservative Party are expected to make gains here tonight, with Robert E. Lee on the ballot, as he's been campaigning the few campaign stops he has made have been with the Conservative Party, so that should help them. But the Conservative Party will retain the majority in the Senate. And here's the current Senate composition thus far. Liberals at 1 seat, moderates at 8 seats, and conservatives at 17 seats. It is now 8 p.m. We have poll closings out of the following states. Out of Alabama, Robert Lee will be the projected winner. Delaware, Robert Lee will be the projected winner. Florida, Robert Lee is the projected winner. Maryland, Robert Lee will be the projected winner. Mississippi, Robert Lee will win this state's electoral votes. Robert Lee will also go on to win the state of Missouri as well as the state of Tennessee. And we can now project that Robert Lee will be elected the second president of the Confederacy. He will succeed Jefferson Davis as president, which he will go on to serve his term as president for the next 6 years unless he were to pass away. But it's expected that unless his health declines, he will be serving his entire 6 years as president. And here's the current electoral map. Robert Lee at 145 electoral votes, as you can see on your screen here. Out of Alabama Senate race, Robert Jemison Jr. will be the projected winner out of Alabama Senate race. He will win re-election here. Out of Florida, Augustus Maxwell will be re-elected to the Senate. Out of Missouri, Waldo Johnson will be re-elected, keeping the Senate seat in Moderate Party's hands. Out of Maryland Senate race, currently too close to call, conservative George Vickers is currently leading incumbent moderate Philip Thomas. Currently right now, George Vickers has a 3-point lead over his opponents. And here's the current Senate composition. The Liberals currently have 1 seat, the Moderates have 9, and the Conservatives have 19, expanding upon their majority. And out of Mississippi's governor race, Benjamin Humphreys will be elected to his first term as governor out of Mississippi. It is now 8:30 p.m. We now have poll closings out of the state of Arkansas. And no surprise here, Robert Lee will be the projected winner out of Arkansas. And adding on to his electoral vote count, he now has 151 electoral votes. Out of Arkansas Senate race, currently 2 close to call, Augustus Garland. The incumbent in this race has retired, so this is a competitive race. Augustus Garland, the conservative, is currently leading his closest opponent, which is moderate William Sebastian, who is trying to keep this seat in moderate hands. William Sebastian at 39%, and Alexander McDonald, a liberal, at 16%. Out of Maryland Senate race, still 2 close to call. George Vickers' lead now drops to about 1% over Philip Thomas. And here's the current Senate composition. No change here. It is now 9 p.m. We now have poll closings out of 2 states, Louisiana and Texas. And Robert Lee will go on to win both Louisiana and the state of Texas, adding to his electoral vote count of 197 right now. Out of Louisiana Senate race, Edward Sparrow will be re-elected to another term in the Senate out of Louisiana. And we can now make a call for the Conservative Party out of the state of Arkansas. They will flip the Senate seat as Augustus Garland will win his first term to the Senate, flipping the seat from purple to blue. Out of Maryland Senate race, 2 close to call. It is a statistical tie between George Vicker and Philip Thomas. This is going to be a very, very close election right now. And here is the current Senate composition. Liberals at 1 seat, moderates at 9 seats, and the Conservatives at 21 seats. And out of Louisiana's governor race, major vote splitting here, as well as will be re-elected to a second term as governor out of the state of Louisiana. Big win for liberals out of the state, as James Wells is very popular in the state despite being from the minority party nationwide. And it is now 10 p.m. We now have polling updates. And out of Maryland Senate race, currently 2 close to call, still a statistical tie between Vickers and Thomas. However, John Criswell is starting to catch up his 2 opponents, but it is unlikely he wins the seat. It is now 11 p.m. We now have poll closings out of California. Now, California is only about 4 or 5 counties out of California that's part of the Confederacy. We're talking Orange County, San Bernardino County, San Diego, and there's one more that I'm forgetting. But sorry if I forgot you, it's just those 4 or 5 counties down there in the very southern part of California. And out of California, we can project that Robert Lee will be the projected winner out of the state, winning their tiny electoral votes of 3 electoral votes. He's now sitting at 200 electoral votes, which is the maximum electoral vote count. Out of California Senate race, William Gwynn will be re-elected to the United States, to the Confederate States election. Sorry, I'm not used to saying Confederate States Senate. He will be re-elected to the Confederate Senate out of California. And would you look at this, George Vickers, who I apologize, I said he was a conservative, he's actually a moderate, I apologize. George Vickers will be elected to his first term out of the Senate, defeating the conservative Philip Thomas. I got those confused, I apologize. But George Vickers will give the moderates their only flip of the night in the Senate, and that's going to be out of Maryland. Big win for the moderates out of Maryland. And here is the updated Senate composition. The Liberals at 1 seat, the moderates at 11 seats, and the Conservatives at 22 seats. And here is the marginal map on your screen here, or not the marginal map, but the Senate map right here. The darker shades of colors represents flips. As you can see, the Conservatives flipped Arkansas and South Carolina, while the moderates flipped Maryland. We have a net gain of 1 for the Conservatives. And here's the marginal map, as you can see here. Arkansas and South Carolina being in the likely category for Conservatives, and and Maryland being in the tilt category for moderates. Liberals not winning any Senate seats on this map, which is a struggle for them. And we can also project that the House majority will go to the Conservative Party. I believe his name is Preston Young, if I'm not mistaken. He will go on to become Speaker of the House come 1868. In 1868, he will go to the House of Representatives and serve as Speaker. As you can see on your screen now, the Liberals only gained 4 measly seats in the House elections, The moderate party has now won 54 seats, and the Conservative Party won 108 seats, way beyond the majority that they need. You only need about 83 seats to win a majority. The Conservatives have that and more. Thank you guys so much for watching. If I sound a bit stuttery and all that, more than usual, it's because I'm recording this at 4 in the morning. I just woke up, so my apologies for that. But this is the Chaotic One saying, peace.